I see myself 10 years graduating for CCS College and have a good teacher for interpreter.
I see myself in 10 years as a mechanical engineer owning a factory.
In 10 years, I see myself trying to deliver babies in the medical field.
I see myself in 10 years as a nurse in California in a hospital.
I see myself in 10 years with a beautiful family and a career in prosthetics and orthotics.
In 10 years, I see myself hopefully with a nice family, a house, stuff to call my own.
In 10 years, I see myself very interested in my career.
In 10 years, I see myself living in California, being a YouTuber.
I see myself in 10 years finished with all of school, and I'm working somewhere in the ER.
I see myself in 10 years working as a videographer, having a family, a nice house, a nice car.
I see myself in 10 years settling with a family and working somewhere in the medical field.
I see myself as an architect.
In 10 years, I see myself hopefully with a job in the automotive field as a mechanical engineer.
I probably see myself being a web designer.
In 10 years, I see myself working towards my computer science degree and generally becoming a better person in terms of getting jobs.
In 10 years, I see myself with a wife, with a good career and having a home.
In 10 years, I see myself as a Warren police officer. I see myself in a nice house, maybe cute girl, some kids running around. I just want to see myself happy.
I really don't know where I see myself in 10 years. I hopefully will see myself in the medical field.
In 10 years, I see myself working as a vet tech.
I see myself in 10 years relaxing, programming stuff in computers.
In 10 years, I see myself doing, probably going to be having a job in the aviation industry, so something like a pilot.
I see myself in 10 years as a gym teacher.
In 10 years, I see myself married with like 3 kids and I'm a millionaire.
In 10 years, I see myself graduating college for med school and finally starting my career.
In 10 years, I see myself living happily with 4 kids, all twins.
All right, in 10 years, I see myself in the Bahamas with my feet in the sand.
In 10 years, I see myself working with my older brother Tim and recording music in my studio.
I see myself in 10 years, maybe become a police officer.
I see myself in 10 years, hopefully starting a family, having a decent job, and traveling the world.
I'm finished my college and doing job.
I see myself in 10 years, hopefully an art teacher. I want to study to be an art teacher, so I have like an art degree and a teaching degree for future.
I see myself in 10 years, I think still in school, somewhere in college, working to find what I want to do in life.
In 10 years, I see myself with family, somewhere successful.
Where do I see myself in 10 years? I see myself in the NFL and with a degree in business and probably owning my own business.
In 10 years, I'll probably still be in school.
I see myself in school in 10 years. I see myself in 10 years as an optometrist working at a hospital.
In 10 years, I'll probably be doing another enlistment for the Marines.
I see myself probably going to college or still being in college or doing some trade skills.
I see myself in 10 years attending college at Lourdes University, majoring in my careers.
I see myself in 10 years owning and managing a hair salon.
In 10 years, hopefully I'm going to have a family and going to be married happily.
In 10 years, I'll see myself with a career and I'll be really happy in life by then.
I really don't know. It could be anywhere. 10 years is a lot. It's hard to think of what could happen in 10 years.
10 years, I see myself as a pharmacist and having a family.
In 10 years, I see myself as a restaurant owner.
and a chef, a head chef.
I see myself as a physical therapist.
In 10 years, I see myself working as a dental hygienist.
In 10 years, I see myself as a software engineer.
In 10 years, I see myself working in the healthcare field, helping people every day and being successful and happy.
I see myself being a computer engineer, living in my own house.
Having my own business.
I see myself having a healthy marriage and owning my own business.
10 years, I see myself opening my own restaurant, being my own chef.
I see myself already done with college and succeeding in life with a good relationship in 10 years.
In 10 years, I see myself graduated and I will hopefully get my bachelor's in engineering. I don't know which kind, but engineering.
Where do I see myself in 10 years? I'll be 28. I see myself working in a hospital as a sterile processing technician in 10 years. So.
In 10 years, I see myself graduated from law school, working at a large law firm, and being very successful.
In 10 years, I see myself with a big family and a good job.
In 10 years, I see myself in a clinic working as a phlebotomist.
In 10 years, I see myself with some cows, some turkeys, some dogs, a few other various pets.
I see myself in 10 years as being a physical therapist, graduated from Saginaw State University, and that's it.
I see myself in 10 years in the degree I'm hoping to find eventually.
I see myself in 10 years as a doctor.
In 10 years, I see myself doing research to study how people work and learning ways to just better people's lives.
In 10 years, I see myself graduated from Western Michigan with an interior design degree, hopefully working on designing houses.
In 10 years, I see myself working with others with a similar passion and goal and making meaningful connections.
In 10 years, I see myself probably just out of college, hopefully getting a job doing art, which I'll be going in for.
I see myself in 10 years being a veterinarian and helping out animals.
In 10 years, I see myself graduated from a university, probably getting a job somewhere in music education.
I see myself in 10 years in the National Guard and making 6 figures.
I see myself in 10 years in school, studying medicine, and probably living on my own by now.
Where do I see myself in 10 years? I want to be a doctor, so at that time, I'm going to finish my schooling and start my career.
I see myself in 10 years hopefully pursuing a career that I am happy with and be able to support myself.
In 10 years, I would like to be a beautician and learn how to do nails, makeup, and hair.
I see myself in 10 years, I want to be interior design. I like to do designer stuff.
In 10 years, I'd like to see myself as a nurse, LPN nurse. I'm going to start my LPN program after graduation, and then I'm going to get a job during that time, and hopefully I get a full-time job afterwards.
In 10 years, I see myself as a business owner.
I see myself in 10 years being successful, have a family, and living lavishly.
In 10 years, I see myself graduated college, have a career, probably have a family, depends, see how it goes.
In 10 years, I see myself as a paramedic, saving lives.
In 10 years, I see myself expanding my business more, my customizing business.
In 10 years, I see myself working at my dream job.
In 10 years, I see myself probably still in school and working towards my law degree.
In 10 years, I see myself as an entrepreneur, hopefully opening my salon, or it's already going to be open, business booming, so yeah.
In 10 years, I see myself starting up my own business, whether it's a hair salon or a nail shop or something like that.
In 10 years, I see myself as a registered nurse somewhere, probably still going to school to further my medical education.
In 10 years, I see myself doing art for a living.
In 10 years, I see myself working as a PA in pediatrics.
I see myself as an architect.
I see myself in 10 years going to college for automotive.
In 10 years, I see myself with a college degree from INDA.
In 10 years, I see myself as having like my own business and being self-employed.
I see myself in 10 years graduating and entering medical school, and hopefully with a family.
I see myself in 2 years at the hospital as being a nurse.
In 10 years, I see myself as a cosmetologist doing hair and makeup.
I see myself in 10 years becoming a video game designer.
In 10 years, I see myself with a job. Probably, I want to go into finance, so I probably want to be like a stockbroker with a job. By that point, probably having my own house, no kids, just living by myself, maybe, I don't know.
10 years, I see myself being married with 11 kids.
In 10 years, I see myself with a family and we rich.
In 10 years, I see myself in the NBA.
In 10 years, I see myself being an RN at a big hospital.
In 10 years, I see myself as someone that has their life figured out.
I see myself in 10 years as being a big YouTuber.
I see myself in 10 years hopefully getting my life back together.
I see myself as a mechanical engineer in 10 years, working for either Ford, GM, or Dodge.
In 10 years, I have like several plans to do. So basically, I'm going to study for the law enforcement. So after 10 years, I might see myself as any kind of law enforcement officer.
In 10 years, after college and everything, I see myself in a clinic as either a PT or a PTA, or somewhere in that department.
I see myself in 10 years owning my own business and moving out of state.
I see myself still in school, medical school, preferably for ophthalmology.
In 10 years, I see myself, I'm gonna be graduated from college. I'll probably be working in the engineering field.
I see myself as an entrepreneur making money and owning a lot of business in Miami.
In 10 years, I'm gonna be doing something I love doing.
I see myself in 10 years somewhere in a nice house, nice job, making nice money, maybe a family of mine, just living a life.
I see myself in 10 years starting my own business.
I see myself in 10 years as becoming a sales engineer.
In 10 years, I see myself in Atlanta, Georgia, owning my own shoe and barbershop.
I see myself in 10 years still living in Florida, possibly with 3 cars, I would like to hope, and some kids someday.
I see myself in 10 years probably going to trade school for car designer.
In 10 years, I see myself as a physical therapist, hopefully owning my own facility.
In 10 years, I see myself owning my own cosmetology business.
In 10 years, I see myself working at a hospital as a cardiothoracic or general surgeon.
In 10 years, I see myself owning a business and making a lot of money.
In 10 years, I see myself probably married, most likely with kids, and into my career.
I see myself in 10 years working the job that I want to work.
I see myself working at a mechanic's place or an auto shop.
In 10 years, I see myself in the business.
In 10 years, I see myself teaching Chinese or teaching English, either in China or here in this school.
I see myself as a graphic designer.
In 10 years, I see myself owning a business and making money.
In 10 years, I see myself a college graduate with a degree and a career, a stable career with money.
I see myself ruling the world, having everyone underneath me, or I could also be living in Japan. There's also a possibility that I'll be homeless, but I'm looking for the, better. I'm being optimistic here.
I see myself in 10 years, hopefully with a successful job and some sort of family going for me.
In 10 years, I hopefully see myself to become a writer.
In 10 years, I see myself probably being a lawyer.
In 10 years, I see myself married, probably kids, and then having a degree with a job.
In 10 years, I see myself as a successful computer scientist or an engineer.
I see myself in 10 years a computer engineer.
In 10 years, I see myself graduated from Wayne State with a bachelor's in psychology and furthering my career to be a psychologist.
In 10 years, I see myself with a stable job.
In 10 years, I see myself in a good, stable place where I can succeed.
I see myself in 10 years as a cosmetologist.
I see myself in 10 years in the medical field going for nursing.
In 10 years, I see myself hopefully having a successful career in a field that makes me happy.
In 10 years, I see myself working as a business administrator or a CPA and hopefully married.
In 10 years, I see myself continuing to run my own company.
In 10 years, I see myself as a successful computer engineer.
In 10 years, I see myself with a successful career and hopefully married.
In 2 years, I see myself rich and living my best life.
In 10 years, I see myself rich and a physical therapist.
In 10 years, I see myself as a vet tech and hopefully living on my own with whoever I am with.
In 10 years, I see myself probably being a sous chef at my current job at Andiamo Italia.
In 10 years, I see myself as a police officer.
In 10 years, I see myself owning a business, graduated from college.
In 10 years, I see myself graduating medical school and interning at a hospital.
In 10 years, I see myself working in a hospital doing plastic surgery on trauma patients.
In 10 years, I want to see myself as a certified public accountant.
In 10 years, I'm probably going to be done with college and have my degree and have a good job.
I see myself in 10 years from now in Hellcat, California, being my own boss.
In 10 years, I see myself as a police officer.
In 10 years, I see myself living out west, still in the military.
In 10 years, I see myself out of Michigan somewhere having a career as a veterinarian.
In 10 years, I see myself as a psychologist specializing in children.
In 10 years, I see myself pursuing the life of a physician's assistant.